Good morning, everyone, from wherever you're watching us from. It's a very nice morning, and I am glad that you're joining me in our primary English lesson today, which is tailored for the candidates, but also invaluable for the primary kids from grade 4 all the way to grade 8. So this morning I've prepared you a very interesting lesson, I believe, on determiners. But before I start, let me salute KUTV for the opportunity that it continuously gives us to bring you learning at home. Thank you also to the parents and the students who keep following our program Elimu Live every weekday on TV. We are getting very positive feedback from you, and we also appreciate that this program is helping you with your revision as you continue keeping safe at home. The students who are watching me this morning, I would like to encourage you that even though schools are not opening soon, as directed by the Ministry of Education, we'll continue bringing you learning from here, Elimu Live, because of this golden opportunity that we have gotten from KUTV. So don't worry, schools will finally reopen and learning will continue from where you stopped. But you don't stop learning, keep following our program so that you keep reminding yourself and keep preparing yourself, especially for the national exams. There's a quote that says that desperate times call for desperate measures. It's a quote from a Greek origin, from a Greek physician called Hippocrates, when he once said that for extreme diseases, extreme methods of cure may be deemed best. So continue staying at home. Don't get tired. It may be an extreme measure, but indeed, as the quote says, extreme diseases require extreme methods of cure, from the great physician Hippocrates. Now, I take you to my lesson today where we are going to talk about determiners. And I want to start with a special type of determiners, which is the articles. So first, let me define a determiner. A determiner is a word that is used before a noun to show the quantity or the amount of the noun. I repeat, that a determiner is a word that is used before a noun to show the amount or quantity of the noun. And the articles of English are also determiners, but they are not the only determiners. Determiners are quite many, and even in my lesson today, I may not be able to cover all of them, but I'll try as much as possible to cover what I will be able to cover within the time that I have. So I've said that articles are also determiners. Articles are divided into two. We have the definite article, and we have the indefinite articles. Articles are three. So the definite articles are, let me write. So the articles are an, and the. The determiners are, an, and the, as I've said, are also known as articles. So there is the definite article, while and an are the indefinite articles. Now, have a look at that example. A ball, a pen. They are indefinite. Why do we say that some articles are definite and some are indefinite? Definite articles, or the definite article there refers to something that we already know, that is aforementioned, something that is specific, while the indefinite articles refer to things that we don't know specifically. For example, when you say a ball or a pen, it means that we don't have one pen or one ball in mind that we are talking about. Or when you say an aeroplane, it may refer to any other aeroplane in the airspace. When you say the aeroplane, the difference is that the aeroplane is that specific aeroplane you are referring to. So that is the difference between definite and indefinite articles. So, as I've said, that these articles are also determiners. So, they tell you the amount or the quantity of the noun. And these articles, when they are used, they usually tell you that the noun is in singular form. That the noun is in its singular form. So we will not say a boys, right? We will say a boy because a indicates singularity. Articles indicate singularity when they are used as determiners. So let me continue with my lesson. The indefinite article are is used in the following ways. First, before a singular countable noun, when referring to something that is not known, the noun starts with a consonant, but I would like to add something there. It is not just a consonant, but a consonant sound. A consonant sound. Right, I'll tell you why I'm saying consonant sound instead of consonant. Before a singular countable noun, another thing that I want you to note is countable noun. That article a is not used for uncountable nouns. For example, a boy, a flower, or a mango. Okay, so these nouns are countable. We can count them. A boy, we can count the number of boys. We can count flowers. We can count mangoes. But we have some other nouns which are uncountable. They don't use article a or determiner a. So, examples are boy, flower, mango. Before, words that begin with a vowel but are not pronounced as if, but are pronounced as if they begin with a consonant ye. For example, European or university. Before two nouns which are seen as a unit. For example, a knife and a fork, a cup and a saucer. With somebody's name to show that the speaker does not know the person. For example, do you know a Mrs. Ayanga? A Mrs. Ayanga, to note that you don't know that person. So you can use indefinite article a in that form. It is not very common, but it is correct to use it so. So why did I say consonant sound? I said consonant sound because there are some words that start with consonants, but we don't use article a, right? Because they start with consonants, but their sound is not a consonant sound. Is that okay? So, for example, examples of these words, and let me write them down, is words that start with consonants, but they don't start with the consonant sound. So they include words like hour, So our H is a consonant, but when we are pronouncing that word, we say our. So it does not start with a consonant sound. It starts with a vowel sound, and therefore we will not use article a, we will use article or determiner an hour. An honor, all right. An MP, MP short form for member of parliament. An MCA, so they are starting, these words you see and many others, they start with consonants, but they don't start with consonant sounds. Take an example of MP, A. So A is a vowel sound. It is not a consonant sound. So we don't really we don't use consonants and vowels to check which article we should use, but the sounds. Is the sound consonant or is the sound vowel? So allow me to move to my next explanation, where I'll explain article, or where I'll explain so next is an. An is an indefinite article. An is also an indefinite article, just like a, and it is used as follows. Let me give you an example. An egg, an orange. An egg or an orange. Let me try and move to my next page. All right. So an, the indefinite article an, is used. An egg, an orange, those are examples. Now first, it is used before a singular countable noun. Singular, yet countable. But the difference between a and an is that this singular countable nouns begins with a vowel sound. Begins with a vowel sound. Vowel sound. I'll give you examples of words that begin with a vowel but do not take the article an, because the sound that begins that word is not a vowel sound. An example, one of the ingredients you will use for this recipe is an apple. An apple. So an apple. So apple there starts with a vowel sound. A vowel sound. Okay. Second is before a word whose first letter is silent. Before a word whose first letter is silent. For example, she is an heir to her father's property. She is an heir to her father's property. So, heir. Heir is a person who is set to inherit, or a person who has the right to inheritance. A person with the right to inheritance. And that word, in that word, H is silent. It's silent, so it is pronounced as heir. So it begins with a vowel sound, even though the first letter in that word is H, which is a consonant. But the sound that begins that word is a vowel sound. Right. So there are these examples here. Words that begin with vowels. Words that begin with vowels, but do not take article an. Why? Because they are, in their pronunciation, the first letters do not give you a vowel sound. They give you a consonant sound, therefore they take the determiner a or the article a. Those words include uniform. So you see That is a vowel, but the sound is a consonant, uniform. So you say a uniform, not an uniform. A eulogy, a eulogy. A utensil, a utensil. A ululation, a ululation. A ululation, a uniform, a eulogy, a utensil, a ululation. There are many other words that begin with vowels, but their first sound is consonant. So they take the article or the determiner a. So let's continue. Now, moving next to the definite article there. How is it used? The definite article there, it is definite because when you are talking about there, you are referring to something that you have mentioned before, or you are referring to something that is specific or that you know, and many other explanations that I'm going to give you. So how do we use the determiner there? First, when a person, thing, event, or group has already been mentioned or is known. When it's aforementioned, something that has already been mentioned can be said to be aforementioned. Or when it is known, we use the definite article there. For example, I would like to read a book. I would like to read a book. Now you have mentioned that noun, book. In your second sentence, you will say, maybe assuming it is in the same paragraph, the book is on the shelf. The book is on the shelf. Now, the book that I had earlier mentioned is on the shelf. Second, to refer to things that exist as the only ones. To refer to things that exist as the only ones. They don't have any other thing. We don't have any other thing that exists in the same form. For example, the moon or the sun. Then, third, before names of some countries. Before names of some countries. The Republic of Cameroon. But now that there must be in capital because it together becomes a nominal phrase there. It must be capital. The Republic of Cameroon, the Netherlands. Before names of institutions and organizations, the Kenyatta University, the United Nations, the KBA group of schools. I know some of your schools take the article there because they are names of institutions or organizations. Before, natural features such as rivers, the River Nile, the Lake Victoria, the Kalahari, the Indian Ocean, the Red Sea, the Atlas or the group of islands, the Comoros, for example. Right? So there, that is how it is used. I said, when a person, thing, event, or group has already been mentioned, for things that exist as one, before countries' names, before institutions or organizations' names, before natural features such as rivers, lakes, oceans, mountains, and many other natural features. However, it is worth noting that the definite article there is not used in the following ways. You must not use article there in the following ways. Which ones? Let me try and show you. Before proper nouns, article there is not used before proper nouns. Examples of proper nouns. Examples of proper nouns are names of people, names of people, names of countries, names of countries, names of institutions, names of institutions. We also, so proper nouns exist in many forms. Even your name itself is a proper noun. So take an example there. Wangoi was famous for her bravery. It is wrong to say the Wangoi was famous for her bravery. So article there is not used before proper nouns. It is also not used as a determiner before names of languages. Many people speak English. It is wrong to say many people speak the English or the Kiswahili, right? Or the French. You just say the name of that language without using a determiner or without using an article. So those are exceptions where you should not use article there. There are some that I want also to write for you where you should not use article there. You should also not use it before a common noun. Before a common noun, and I hope you know what common nouns are. Before a common noun, when it forms part of a title. When it forms a title, when it's used to form a title. When a common noun is used to form a title, do not use article there before it. Let me give an example. You should say Major Francis. Major Francis. So Major is a title, but it's a common noun. Then, so you should not use it, the Major Francis. So using article there is wrong. Okay, it is wrong to use that one there. So another example, Sheikh Mohammed. Sheikh Mohammed. Sheikh Mohammed. So, all right, this S here is supposed to be capital. Even though it's a common noun, it is used to form a title. So it's supposed to be capital S. Sheikh Mohammed. So Sheikh is a common noun, but it is used to form a title. So we will not say the Sheikh Mohammed. We will not say the Sheikh Mohammed, will be wrong. So another example where we should not, another exception rather, where we should not use another exception where we should not use article there is before abstract nouns. And I know that you must have now learned abstract nouns. You must have learned abstract nouns. So you should not use article there before abstract nouns. For example, you should not say that, let me give an example where you should not use it. Chastity is the way of life. Chastity should be a way of life. Chastity should be a way of life. So chastity there is an abstract noun. You should not use article there before it to say the chastity. No. And the other abstract nouns that you know, abstract nouns are those things that we cannot touch. They are more of feelings. We cannot see them, and they are not tangible. They cannot be seen. So they are more of feelings. So they include love, chastity, obedience, right? All those kindness, those faithfulness. We cannot see them, we cannot touch them. They are more of feelings. So those are abstract nouns. So I want to continue to give you more determiners. So I am done with the first part, which is the articles are, and there. They are also used as determiners to quantify the noun, or to give you the quantity or the amount of the noun. Right. So there are more other determiners. We are going to have a look at some. We are going to have a look at any, many, much, a lot, a little, a few, and how they are supposed to be used, because they are really confusing and they are mostly tested in the national exam because they are confusing. So let me take you to my next page. Some, any, many, and much. Some, any, many, and much. I'll try to have a look at those ones for today. Then maybe in another day we shall continue with this topic, because the determiners, as I said earlier, they are quite many. So some, these determiners show number or amount. They are used with both countable and uncountable nouns. That is the difference between some. That's the difference between these some, any, many, and much, and the articles are, and they. Are, and they are used with countable now. Are used with countable and uncountable, specific. But these ones are used with both. They are used with both. For example, are is used with countable nouns, and is used with countable nouns and in their singular forms, and there is used with nouns that are both, that are uncountable and also countable. So the difference between these ones and the articles is that these some, any, many, and much are used with both countable and uncountable nouns. Let's start with some. The determiner some is used to show a small amount of something. A small amount of something. It is used in the following ways. It is used in the following ways. So, the first one, with countable nouns, when they do not specify their amount or number. With countable nouns, when the number or the amount is not specified. For example, there are some fruits in the store. There are some fruits in the store. Some fruits. So some tells you that the fruits are not specified. Maybe the person has not counted to know the specific number. So those are uncountable nouns. In positive or affirmative sentences, for example, I have some seeds to plant. I have some seeds to plant. It is positive. It is not negative. It is positive or affirmative. I'll also give you some determiners which indicate a negative sentence. Now, with singular countable nouns for a person, a place, or a thing that is unknown, with singular countable nouns for a person, a place, or a thing that is unknown. For example, she won some prize in the swimming gala. She won some prize in the swimming gala. Now, that's countable nouns, like, because we can count prizes for a person, a thing that is unknown. Some prizes, we don't know the specific prizes that she won in the swimming gala. So that is how some is used. And I'm also going to test whether you are getting this with questions at the end of my lesson. The next one is any. This determiner means an amount of something which is not specified. It is used in the following ways. First, with uncountable nouns where the amount of something is not specified. Uncountable. Right? She didn't take any sugar. I don't have any water. She didn't take any sugar. I don't have any water. So, uncountable nouns. And I know that you know these uncountable nouns. I can give you more examples of uncountable nouns, things that we cannot count. We have already been told there, sugar. We have been told sugar and water. Those are uncountable. You can also add to that list information. Information. You cannot count information. You can add to that list intelligence. You can add garbage. You can add there advice. The spelling of that word advice usually gives students trouble because they confuse whether it's S or C. Now, advice, the noun, is written with a C. That way, that is the noun, but the verb is written with an S. Advice. Even its pronunciation is not the same. This is advice, while this is advice. When you get to high school, you will learn why the difference in pronunciation. With countable nouns, in cases where the number of people or things is not specified. With also countable nouns, I haven't seen any people in the hall. Any people. Any people in the hall. So it can be used with both singular and plural. That is what that example indicates there. She hasn't read any newspaper this week. She hasn't read any newspaper this week. When asking questions, we can also use that determiner any. We can use determiner any when we want to ask questions. An example is given there. Do you have any suggestions on the way forward? Do you have any suggestions on the way forward? Any suggestions? So that one is used to ask a question. Another example is given there. Have you any information about the field trip? Have you any information about the field trip? That question can also be asked as, do you have any information? But you can twist it to ask it, have you any information about the field trip? To mean every or no matter which. Do the candidates need any advice at the moment? Do the candidates need any advice at the moment? That question can be answered, and the answer is yes. Especially this moment, the candidates indeed need a lot of advice. to continue studying so that they don't forget things when schools resume. So I move to the next determiner, which is many. And this one, unlike any, which shows an unspecified amount or quantity, many shows that the quantity is large or the amount is large. It's just like much. But the difference between much and many is that many is used only for countable nouns, while much is used for uncountable nouns. I can repeat that. Many is used for countable nouns and much is used for uncountable nouns. So before countable nouns, we can use many by saying, for example, Muhindi can see many cars on the road. Muhindi can see many cars on the road. So many cars. We can count cars. Many cars on the road. They have sold many houses. They have sold many houses. So we can count houses. That is why we are using the determiner many. And many there means that these houses are not just a few. They are many. They are many, but an unspecified number, or an unspecified amount, but a large amount. And much, the determiner much shows a large amount of something. A large amount of something. It is used in the following ways: with uncountable nouns. For example, Paul said he does not have much money in the bank. Much money in the bank. Money is assumed to be an uncountable noun, right? I know you will say that we can count money, right? I know I also count money, but if you're given all the money in the world, maybe you'll not be able to count. So money is an uncountable noun. That is how it's used. We don't say many money, we say much money. We use the determiner much because money is an uncountable noun. Water, we can also say advice. Our teacher gives us much advice. Much advice. Don't say many advice, because advice is uncountable. We cannot count it, so use the determiner much. Much sugar. She poured much sugar in the porridge. She poured much sugar in the porridge, not many sugar, because we cannot count sugar, right? Much garbage. There is much garbage outside, not many garbage. He gives us much information. He gives us much information. So uncountable nouns, they take the determiner much, while those that are countable take the determiner many. Many pupils were in the classroom. Many people are discouraged from meeting. Many houses were sold. The example that I had given earlier. So we continue. When forming questions and negative sentences, for example, how much work do you want done? How much work do you want done? Much there tells you that it's used to show you a question, to ask a question. How much work? There isn't much milk in the kettle. An example where it is used with uncountable nouns, because milk is uncountable. So is work. Work cannot be counted, and milk cannot also be counted. So that is how we use many and much as determiners. That's how we use many and much as determiners. All right. So in the next part of my work today is an exercise for you to do. You can also send your answers, but you remember to indicate the question you're answering. So the first question asks, dash university student delivered dash speech. Dash student was called Mwelu. Dash university student delivered dash speech. Dash student was called Mwelu. So will we say the university students or a university student? You remember what I said about university? We say a university student delivered a speech. The student was called Mwelu. Let me fill there the answers for you. So we will say a university student. We say a university student delivered a speech. Then you start the sentence in capital and you say the student was called Mwelu. So why are we saying the student? Because student has been mentioned before. The student has been mentioned before. Question 2 says, not all delegates attended dash annual meeting. Not all delegates attended dash annual meeting. So not all delegates attended the annual meeting. The annual meeting. Question 3. I noticed dash ink pot on dash shelf and dash pen in dash basket. I noticed an ink pot, and because ink starts with a vowel sound, all right? So you say, I noticed an ink pot on the shelf. On the shelf, and a pen in the basket. An ink pot on the shelf and a pen in the basket. It is interesting to see dash stars shining in dash sky. It is interesting to see the stars. The stars, why? Because stars are things that do not have any other thing that exists like them. So we said about that, when you refer to things that exist as the only ones, like stars, you use determiner the. So it is interesting to see the stars shining in the sky, because the sky also exists in a single unit. There are no two skies. Dash British like butter and cheese. Dash British like butter and cheese. So you say the British, because I said names of countries. The British, names of countries, the Netherlands, the British, the Kenyans. The British like butter and cheese. Dash famous footballer we met plays in the Premier League. Dash famous footballer we met plays in the Premier League. The famous footballer we met. The famous footballer we met. The famous footballer we met plays in the Premier League. Dash umbrella is useful during dash rainy season. Dash umbrella is useful during dash rainy season. So an umbrella. An umbrella. Let me also emphasize on the pronunciation of this word, because I'm teaching English even though it's not our topic today. But this word is not pronounced as many of us pronounce it, umbrella. It is umbrella. Umbrella, not umbrella. Umbrella. is useful during the rainy season. The rainy season. I chose dash blouse which had dash unusual design on it. I chose a blouse which had an unusual design on it. My brother, who is dash electrician, works for dash East African community. My brother, who is an electrician, works for the Eastern or East African community. 10. Dash Atlantic Ocean is to dash west of Africa. The Atlantic Ocean, you remember we talked about natural features. You use article. The Atlantic Ocean is to the west of Africa. The west of Africa, names of countries, so you use article there. So that is how those questions are supposed to be answered. Another exercise to jog your mind, which tests the use of some, any, many, and much to correctly complete the following sentences. Do you write dash stories? Do you write dash stories? And that one seems to have two correct choices. You can first say, do you have any stories? Do you have any stories? But you can also say, do you have many stories? Do you have many stories? Because stories are countable. You can count the number of stories. She is unable to do dash work after running. So work is uncountable. So the first correct choice is much work. She's unable to do much work after running, or you can say she is unable to do any work after running. Kindly give me dash juice but not to dash. Kindly give me dash juice but not to dash. Kindly give me some juice. So you say some juice. Kindly give me some juice but not too much, because juice is uncountable. We cannot count things that are in liquid forms. I wasn't asked dash questions during the class discussion. I wasn't asked dash questions during the class discussion. I wasn't asked any questions. Any is right. So to mean that you were not asked even one, any, but you can also say, I wasn't asked many. I wasn't asked many questions, because many also is right to mean that you were asked some questions, but they were not too many. So to indicate the quantity or the amount of questions you were asked. There is dash water in the cup, Mildred said. There is dash water in the cup, Mildred said. There is some water in the cup. There is some water in the cup. How dash stamps do you need to post the letters? How dash stamps do you need to post the letters? How many stamps? Because stamps are countable, you will use many. So you will say here, how many stamps do you need to post the letters? Question 7. How dash bags of maize did she harvest? Bags of maize are countable. So how many bags of maize? But if we didn't have these bags of, if it was not there, it was just the word maize, then we could not say how many maize, we could say how much maize did she harvest, because maize in itself, it is uncountable. But if it is put in forms of bags, in units of measurement, then we can count it. There was no dash space left in the car. There was no space is uncountable. You cannot count space. So you say there was no much. There was no much space left in the car. 9. She drinks dash orange juice after waking up every morning. She drinks some orange juice after waking up every morning. Question 10. They were taught dash rules on road safety. They were taught dash rules on road safety. They were taught some rules. They were taught some rules, but you can also say they were taught many rules. They were taught many rules on road safety. So, let me see the questions that you have sent me so that I try and answer them. Meanwhile, I've come to the end of my lesson, so let me now answer the questions that you have sent me. One says, is it wrong to say his company was registered by him? His company was registered is right. It is wrong to say by him because you have said already his, right? So you have indicated who registered the company. His company was registered is correct. If you add by him, it will be repetition. Hello, how can one know a sentence in participle form? Participle form, I think these are questions from last week. Participle form, you know them by, they use mostly has, have, and had. The helping verbs or the auxiliary verbs has, have, and had. But also the verbs that are in their participle forms. I'm sure you have learned in grade 4 or grade 5 how to change forms of verbs from present tense to participle to past. Let me see also if there's any other question. Samuel, what is a consonant? A consonant. So you know the alphabets from A or A, B, C, D up to Z. You remove the vowels. Then now after you have removed the vowels, the remaining are consonants. The vowels are A, E, O, U. There are only 5. Now the rest are consonants. Somebody saying, my request is please explain on the use of so, very, and such based on degree. This is a very wide topic. I may not be able to answer you right now, but maybe in the course of our next lessons. Another one is asking, Ashley, why do we say an hour instead of an hour? Because hour, H is silent, and therefore the first sound of that word is a, which is a vowel sound. So we say an hour, not an hour, because we don't say hour. The H is not pronounced. Somebody is saying, hi teacher, what is the meaning of abstract nouns? Nouns that we cannot, things that we cannot see, touch. They are feelings. Mostly they are feelings, because feelings you cannot see them and you cannot touch them, but they can be expressed. For example, rudeness, kindness, humility, patience. All those are abstract nouns. Gloria from Nairobi is asking, can you say my father brought me an ink or a ink? An ink is correct because ink starts with a vowel sound which is E. An ink. What is the difference between few and a few? What is the difference between few and a few? I did not tackle that. maybe it's also determiner. It is under the group of a little and few and a few. But I can just touch on it very quickly that few shows it's negative, while a few is used to show positive or affirmative sentences. What does that mean? That when you say a few, it means you have some things. But when you say few, they are negligible, almost none. That is the difference between few and a few. Another one is asking faith. Is many used with positive sentences? Many, yes, it is used with positive sentences. Complete the sentences correctly. If a student had a passport, this is a question that maybe has troubled you. Let me help you. If a student had a passport, he would have studied abroad. Would study abroad, could study abroad, could have studied abroad. It is would because it shows the future possible tense, would. So the correct choice for that sentence that you have sent me is A, would have. And if the sentence uses helping verb had, then you be sure to also use an auxiliary or a helping verb when answering it. So you will say would have studied abroad. Would have studied abroad. It has been a pleasure joining me this morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Continue following this program every weekday from 8:15 to 10 or sometimes 11 like today, and we'll be glad to continue bringing you the lessons from the comfort of your home as you continue keeping safe at home. Goodbye and God bless you.